Hi, and welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com. It is WrestleMania Backlash 2022 match card and predictions time. And I'm not alone for this stream. I'm joined by the one, the only, Jonesy Chats Wrestling in the house. How are you doing, George?
Very good. I can't believe it's that time again, Steve. Another pay-per-view, predictions again. Don't seem long since WrestleMania. I can't believe we're back here again. It seems to be come quick, doesn't it? Another pay-per-view yet again.
Absolutely, yeah. The last it's 5 weeks as well, and it's just flown by. Absolutely, but there's 6 matches, not as many as usual. We'd have to dive into, but obviously, anyone who wants to join in with their predictions in the comments below, do get involved. Please like the video, share as well, subscribe with a friend as well. It helps the channel a long way. But before we get started and give our predictions, well, you need a match card. So these are the matches we're going to be predicting. So what's your feelings on a scale of 1 to 10 of that card? How excited are you?
I think from an in-ring perspective, I'll go 8 out of 10. I think it's got some fantastic potential matches there that are going to be dream matches. There's a real good chance to certainly correct some stuff from WrestleMania they can do. From a build, I'd say 5 out of 10, really. I'm not really that excited. There isn't a lot at stake, it seems. But I think it's going to be good. Like, I think going into it, I remember WrestleMania Backlash last year, I wasn't excited about, and it was one of the shows of the year. I'm hoping we get a similar thing on Sunday, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, you make a really good point with that as well. Everyone was sort of like not hyped for that show. And I mean, minus the, the horror match they did with Damian Priest and The Miz, the whole thing was spectacular from start to finish. And I do think there's 4 particularly really standout matches on this show that I think will deliver. So it is looking like an all right card. One, though, before we just go into our match to start off with, I just want to ask you quickly, only one women's match at this particular moment. Do you think there will be another one added to the card before Sunday?
I think they should. I can't believe we haven't got Bianca Belair. Like, she's the women's champion. She should be on the pay-per-view. I know we had this Sonya Deville, Bianca Belair feud that's been kind of going on and off. But yes, they need more matches. 6 matches to me doesn't seem very much. It's going to be a very quick pay-per-view if they just do these 6, I think.
Absolutely. We're probably going to get all those video packages that you love so much in between, probably. But I expect Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan to be added last minute on the kickoff. That's what I'm expecting at the moment. If that was to happen, I guess Rhea Ripley would be my pick. So just to speculate, would you go the same way?
Yeah, she has to win. Like, I think she's done this obviously recent heel turn to reward the heel turn and to move her further forward. I know Liv Morgan got a big win on Raw on Monday, but Rhea has to start getting momentum. I'd like to see Rhea move on to a Bianca Belair feud next month. I think that's the route they need to go down as soon as possible.
That would be really fun to see. Certainly would like to see that. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go big to start off then with the first actual prediction of this show. And we are going to go with the 6-man tag team match, the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos going against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Now, of course, to give a little bit of detail, this was originally a Tag Team Championship unification match for the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Roman had sent the Usos to go and get those belts to join him because he has, championship from both shows, and the Usos, they only have the SmackDown tag titles. This match was set up, was going through a few weeks of program. All of a sudden, we had a contract signing, as WWE loves to do, and all of a sudden, things kind of went into chaos. Roman Reigns got involved in this, became a brawl, and then Drew McIntyre got involved as well, and then Paul Heyman sort of kind of pressured Adam Pearce into the situation, saying, well, look, it's a bigger match to get Roman Reigns on this pay-per-view as a 6-man tag, completely eliminating the championship aspect of this match. And as far as I'm concerned, made 0 sense whatsoever. The only thing that would have made sense for me for this, and there is still one show at the time of recording before WrestleMania Backlash, which is SmackDown, which would have been if all the titles had been put on the line. But instead, we've got a Monday Night Raw style main event. So, Jonesy, my question to you is going to be simply, what are your thoughts then of this becoming a 6-man tag team match with the Bloodline against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro rather than the tag team unification match?
I think from an in-ring perspective, it's going to be a great match. Just I'm not going to lose sight of that, but the build of it has been not particularly great. The change in, obviously, from this unification to the 6-man, it's almost like they did this Roman Reigns Nakamura thing, and they realised Roman's not on the pay-per-view, and they panicked. That's kind of where I feel. And we've got the problem with Roman Reigns at the moment, that they don't have anybody they can put him against, and Drew is the main one they've got at the moment, which they probably want to save to this UK pay-per-view in September. I think this is an issue we're going to have. But for me, it gets Roman on the pay-per-view. He may still be slightly injured from WrestleMania. I don't know if I believe that based on the fact that he's on every show basically still, and he's still doing the house shows. For me, I think it's an okay match. In ring, it'll be fine, but it's a shame it's not unification, really. I really thought this Usos versus RK thing has been the main thing on Raw for like every single week. It needs a title for me. I think title versus title. I just think a tag match is okay. I think this is going to go on, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a middle ground to where it's going to go. Like you said, with Roman and Drew, it's the starting place. That has been on a number of house shows and singles matches. So like you say, there has been rumors going around, is Roman still injured? But he's had one-on-one matches with Drew throughout a lot of the UK tour, I believe. And I think Roman is picking up victories in pretty much all of the matches as well, if I'm not mistaken. Someone please do let me know in the comments if I'm wrong with that. And I mean, of course, if Roman's able to go in those matches on live house shows, then there's no reason why he couldn't have done a one-on-one match here. So my feeling is, looking at this, that the tag team unification match will still happen on a cell. Whether it's inside the cell or not is still questionable. And like you said, they're saving Roman versus Drew for a big show. I even saw a rumor, now take it as a pinch of salt, from Ringside News, that the actual next Roman title defense was going to be done at a stadium show, which of course the next stadium show would be Money in the Bank. Could you see Roman not defending the title between now and Money in the Bank? This seems a long time.
Yeah, quite possibly. The thing is, they're quite lazy with his booking, and they need this time to build someone up that can realistically beat him. So, yeah, I could probably see that. But for me, I just think involving him in six-man, he does lift that match to a certain point. The testing of him and Drew will be good to see. It'll be a great eye-opener to see how they get on. I expect Drew to get a lot of the offense as well. I'm excited for this match. I just hope that it gets time. And picking a winner, it's really, really kind of hard. If you would have said title versus title, I could have told you the winner probably quite easily, but because the titles aren't on the line, does WWE want to give something to Drew? Do they want to give Drew some sort of momentum? And when are we eventually going to get this RK broke up? Because at the moment, they're the most over tag team. I can't see them breaking up anytime soon. And it's just where it goes next. I think this is going to be an okay match. It's just strange that you've got so many titles involved, yet none of them on the pay-per-view. And this is meant to be Backlash back in the past with such a big pay-per-view. To have no title on the show, it's just a shame, I think, really, for me.
Yeah, it does actually go to show that WWE seem to not really have the plans in place yet of what they're going to do with these championships. Putting them both on Roman to then not defend them at all on this show just seems a bit bizarre, if you ask me. But what I would say is, looking at the storytelling, like you said, that it is harder to make a prediction because the belts are not on the line. Like you say, I think if it had been all the belts on the line, we'd have said the Bloodline. There would be no arguments in that whatsoever. But looking at things then, so what do they do going forward? Do we get the momentum where the Bloodline win because they're the trio that's usually together, and then Roman says, well, look, we won that match, we're going to send the Usos now, you are going to get those tag team titles, we've proven our dominance? Or do the babyfaces get the dominant win here? Drew then builds momentum then to go against Roman Reigns further down the line, and RK Bro can say, well, look, if the belts had been on the line, we would be the ones with the unified championships, not the Bloodline. So I think there is some storytelling to go with it. And I do wonder as well if this is the start of a string of opponents for Roman Reigns, that we could actually even get Roman versus Drew, perhaps at Hell in a Cell, and we could even have, like you say, like Randy Orton going against Roman Reigns in and amongst the summer, maybe even Riddle if he wins Money in the Bank. I certainly think there is an argument that could be made for that case. So for a prediction, I'm actually going to say that I think the babyfaces need this for the story more. So with the belts not being on the line, Roman Reigns is protected. He's not got to be involved in the pinfall loss. It could, and RK Bro will pick up the victory. What are your thoughts, Jonesy?
I like it. I like what you said. A lot of logic there. For me, I think in terms of a winner, I'm going to go. I think the baby faces have to win. I think Jimmy Uso's the one that gets pinned. I think Randy Orton's the one that will get the pinfall. If it's the other way around, the only person that's getting pinned on the babyface side, I think, is Matt Riddle. Randy Orton is a plethora now. He's really over with the youngsters. He seems to be that Hulk Hogan level of overness at the moment. I think he's really, really kind of over. And I can't see them sort of pinning Drew McIntyre to keep him strong. I think what I'd like to see at this match, I'd like to see Drew and Roman get taken out early. I'd love to see them fight backstage or something. It ends up them going backstage. Let's keep them out of the match and let's just have a tag team match as much as possible. But for me, the winners are the baby faces. I think if the heels win here, no good can really come of it. I think Roman Reigns pinning Drew here would be a big mistake, really. It would not make me excited for the up-and-coming match they're going to have down the line.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you 100% there. And very interesting philosophy with that as well. And yeah, we try and go with logic as best as we can, but WWE doesn't always seem to have that logic when it comes to their booking, unfortunately. We do have a comment that's come through from Jeff Samuel, so we shall read that out. Thank you, Jeff, for checking that stream. Hope you're doing well. He asked about the Street Profits. Could they beat down the Usos, RK Bro, if Randy pins Jay up after? I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I do think the title unification match will still be on regardless. I don't think that the Street Profits will be coming in there anytime soon. But what about the Street Profits? I mean, would you like to see them involved at some point in the future of the tag titles? But I'm guessing, probably if I know you well, you'd probably say after this feud is complete.
You know, you took the words from my mouth. Yeah, after the feud's complete, let's just get this feud done. Let's do, as you said, let's do the Hell in a Cell. Like you said, these two tag teams would be great in Hell in a Cell. They're the two best in WWE by a long way. So yeah, I don't think you get the Street Profits involved. I think the Street Profits, let's build them up. They've done some great work recently with Alpha Academy and stuff like that. I think they won't. I don't think they're the ones that will be credible enough to take the belt off either of the Usos or RK Bro at the moment.
No, not on this particular moment. We've got to say very quickly, quick shout. I did love your suggestion there, the idea of Roman and Drew sort of fighting way, maybe they go through the crowd or something, and it's left them with the two tag teams to get that decisive four. I think it's a very clever way to finish that because obviously Roman and Drew have that program going forward where you don't really know who's got the one-upsmanship. And then obviously at that point, we see dominance of one team did actually get the pin over the other on the pay-per-view. Some satisfaction, just not a championship to go with it. But there's a lot of discussion that comes out of this. That's one thing I do like about this because we can probably talk about this match for a good hour or so. Is there anything more you would like to discuss on it? At this moment of the podcast?
I think the last thing I'd like to say for it, I think if they're very, very clever, they can really do some good work here. I think clearly at the moment we can't do this Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes match. They're trying to save that match. That's one opponent there. Drew and Roman, you're trying to save probably to September. That's quite a long time to try and save that match. Let's just see what they do. I think we're probably going to get the winner of we potentially may get Seth Rollins Roman match again next month. I think that's a route they can go down. But for me, looking forward to seeing it. I'm excited. I just hope that if they're clear with the stipulation, because obviously it's not been very clear whether this is a title match or not for me still. It's still not very clear. Going into the pay-per-view this weekend, I just think they need to clear that up really one way or another.
Well, I'm sure we'll get a more clear clarification on SmackDown. We've got one show to go.
One other thing for you. Do we see Nakamura interfering, getting some sort of revenge on Roman? Do you think they'll do that just so they've got a match for Roman next month maybe as well?
The fact he was a lumberjack a couple of weeks ago for the Drew versus Sami Zayn match makes me feel there's no chance of that one, sadly.
Okay, no problem. That's fine.
It is a shame. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him to get. He's been taken out by Roman twice in the last 2 years, and he's not got a championship match. It feels such a shame.
What was the point of it? That's the thing. What was the point of him having challenging Roman, doing this other stuff, and then drop it? It doesn't make sense, does it?
No. To give a shout out to Mr. Tom Colligue, apparently it was an early plan, but apparently it was very early pulled. So that's pretty much how we come around to this. And it seemed that they realized that, Roman's not on this show and we're not doing it versus Nakamura. So this seemed to be the best method to go down. So that seems to be the reasoning backstage of why it is. But like you said, we need a bit more logic on the show. But we've got SmackDown still to go. So there is still perhaps a bit more time to build this up a little bit. And what I would say is as well is looking at it, I would feel in my head that if it was like the baby faces here that needed to go over, we'll have a good idea after this show because usually the one that's on top of the show before, they're the ones that are jobbing at the show after. So we don't know at this point, but I do think the Bloodline will probably be standing tall on SmackDown. That's what my last feelings are. But last question I'll have for you, and we will move on. Do you want to see RK Bro versus the Usos to decide this inside Hell in a Cell next month?
Yeah, it'd be a good match. I think they've obviously got to delay the Randy Orton Riddle match. So yeah, let's do that. I'd love to see them have this match. Then they fall out and we have a slow build for a SummerSlam match between the two because that's still a match I want to see. I'm still waiting for the stream match to happen. It's gonna be great. Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, let's talk about our next match on the show then, shall we? And we're going to talk about Bobby Lashley going against Omos on the show. And, of course, Omos is now with MVP. Now, of course, Jonesy, you were someone that has said for a long time that MVP should be aligned with Omos. And, of course, now we've got that wish. How are you finding that pairing so far? Are you enjoying that partnership? MVP's doing the best he can. That's all I would say. For anything with Omos at the moment, he doesn't seem to have got any better. I don't like to be critical and too negative, but he's a year on now with this training, and yet he still seems to be up there with Giant Gonzalez or Kurgan or somebody like that. Giant Silver, he's at that level at the moment, which it's not great. I think MVP's a fantastic talker. I don't know how far a fantastic talker can get you because obviously there's no reaction to him from the crowd. He comes out, people just look at him. They're not booing him. They're not really cheering him. It's just a shame because he seems to have lost all that momentum he had from WrestleMania last year where he won the tag titles, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. People seem to be giving up on it a little bit now, and it's not really working out the same way as it was before. And the question is for Bobby Lashley now. He's without MVP, obviously. How do you feel Lashley is coping? Do you reckon that he's missing that mouthpiece?
Yes and no. Like he's very, very over. He's obviously got a very good look and stuff like that. I think it's a real shame here that they didn't have the brain to, if they would have kept him, bring Malcolm Bivens up to be with Lashley. I think that would have made total sense here, and it could have really worked. That dueling promo between MVP and Bivens could have been fun to see, but Lashley's all right. He's doing the best he can. He's just on the rebound, isn't he? He's just trying to get back to where he was, former world champion and stuff.
Absolutely. And I forget the source of where this was said, actually, but I do believe there was a source that said that Malcolm Bivens, one of his actual opportunities before he rejected his last contract offer before being let go by WWE, he was offered to be the manager of Omos, which was actually apparently was one of the things he rejected. So interesting that was a lineup. But if I remember the source, I will give it a shout out. And I want to say it was Tom Colohue. I want to say it was him, but just in case I'm wrong, I don't want to commit on it 100%. But going into it, we've had an arm wrestling match. We've had the turn happen. I think this is going to go on to another pay-per-view. I still think we're going to get the handicap match at some way further down the line between Lashley against Omos and MVP so that Lashley can get the victory. I think Omos is going over here, though. The wisdom of MVP will give Omos that advantage. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I want to say that he doesn't win. I really hope he doesn't win. This is Lashley. Bear in mind, Lashley's been a world champion this year. To have him feuding in Omos is just a real shame. But for me, I'm going to go Lashley to retain, or not to retain, Lashley to win even. I think Lashley has to get the win here. I'm hoping this will be a lot better than WrestleMania. They've got a real good chance to try and fix it. This needs to open the show, really. It's got probably little or no heat. But for me, Lashley to win, and let's get Lashley into a proper feud with someone like Kevin Owens or something decent, really, for me.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing with Seth Rollins either. I mean, let's not forget Lashley was taken out at Elimination Chamber through the buckle, or what was usually be a buckle bomb, but the power bomb that put Theory through the glass chamber door. There we go. It's hard for me to get the words out sometimes, but I got there in the end. But I think that would be a good feud to do. But unfortunately, I don't see where it's going to go. I think this is going to continue, sadly. But I think Omos is going to get the win, and I just hope Lashley doesn't get lost in the shuffle. But Ed Fries is in the house. He says, "Hi everyone. Hope you're doing well, Ed. Thank you for checking out the stream, and do share your predictions with us as well. I'd like to know what your thoughts are heading into WrestleMania Backlash. Just want your hype for the show as well. But as we do that, we're going to talk about our next match for you now, and one that I think Jones is going to quite enjoy talking about: AJ Styles against Edge. Now, of course, Edge now is leading a group called Judgment Day. Of course, after WrestleMania, we got Edge obviously aligned with Damian Priest. That's the first person coming in. We are expecting more people may come in further down the line. But what have been your thoughts of this build with Edge and AJ Styles? We've had some spooky lighting in places. Edge has said, look, you shouldn't be surprised. I've been a part of the Brood. I've been a part of the Ministry of Darkness. You've seen this character in me. You think you know me. Obviously, you don't.
I think Edge's promos have been some of the best I've seen on WWE this year. I think they're really, really good. I think the material isn't the best, but he's doing the best he can. I'm enjoying Damian Priest's addition to the group. Even some of the stuff has been a bit crazy, like the vampire stuff was a bit over the top, but really enjoying it. Looking forward to seeing where they go next. And I think this is a potential dream match. Let's not lose sight of it. We've only seen this match, and this will be the second time we've seen this match, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I think at WrestleMania, I didn't really get that chance because of the finish at the end, and also Cody and Seth stole the thunder from them. But I think this match will be great. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go. And I think this isn't going to end at this month. I think it'll carry on next month, which is it makes it interesting.
I really do. I think it makes it interesting as well because, like you say, I think that we're not done here. And the thing is, this isn't the first rematch we've got on this show. We mentioned already there Omos and Lashley, and I've said I think Omos will get the 1-to-1 victory, which carries it over another month. We've got another 2 rematches we're going to be talking about with Ronda Rousey, with Charlotte Flair, as well as Cody Rhodes with Seth Rollins still to come. And obviously this one here, and I do think that this could be one of the rare matches where you're not going to get that 1-on-1 scorecard. I think here that Edge has a potential here to get the victory because Damian Priest, of course, is barred from ringside in this match. Now, with that, AJ Styles won a match on Raw, which made that happen. If Judgment Day is going to be a faction, a group, do you not think this is a great opportunity then for someone else to come in and stand up for Edge? Maybe someone like a Tommaso Ciampa, someone who's come in, turned heel without any words, anything being said, attacking Mustafa Ali for the last couple of weeks on Raw. Would he be a good fit for that group?
I like it, Steve. As I said, I think you're on the money there. I'd love to see that. That makes sense. That's typical WWE old style booking. I'd love to see that. Put one out there, Steve. Call me crazy. Can you imagine Finn Balor coming out as a demon and attacking AJ? Imagine that. The demon hasn't got the control of, or Finn hasn't got control of the demon. That could be something they do. And then you got the whole thing. Whose side are you on, really, Finn? Which would be interesting to do. But I'd like to see that. For me, I think this is going to be really, really kind of interesting. I'm just disappointed it's not really a coffin match for me. I'd love to see a casket match or something here because I think that would have been more interesting. But looking for seeing what they do. But that finish, Edge has to win still. I think if AJ Styles wins it and nothing happens after, it'll be a big shame because I think Judgment Day has been really good. but they need to get that next layer by adding people. If they're going to be a stable, not a tag team, this is the point you start adding people. I'll never forget back in the day when Christian debuted. It was Edge was in a match, I think, against Owen Hart, and then you had sort of Christian there on the outside, just appearing. They start doing stuff like that, which get people talking, ready for Raw, I think. But for me, I'm with you. I think Edge to win, and let's hope we get a new member of the stable.
I really, really hope to see it. And I'm really glad you mentioned Finn Balor. And I do like the idea of the split personality, by the way. I think that's a fun trait. Definitely have a purpose for the demon character and for Finn going forward, because Finn, he's been jobber Finn of late. But Finn, of course, did do the 2-sweep with AJ Styles this past week on Raw. Do we hope that we see like a WWE form of Bullet Club for a short term? Maybe get a tag team match out of it? Maybe even a 6-man if Ciampa does join the group and we get Ali on the baby faces?
Sounds good. Sounds like a dream match, doesn't it? Sounds really, really good. For me, I think AJ and Finn are just far too good to be tag team wrestlers. I think they're far more better than that. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of seeing them. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do together, and I'm looking forward to it. I think this feels like a really big match. Even though I've seen it before, it feels like a huge match to me.
Yeah, it really, really does. And I've got one last little bit of fantasy booking before we go to the comments section. I just wonder, what is the reason Ciampa is attacking Ali now? Just to bear in mind, putting those pieces together of the prediction. If Ciampa does join this group, helps Edge pick up the victory, Finn Balor's taken out a ringside or whatever, we've got the 6-man tag environment, tag team matches galore going to the next pay-per-view. What if the reason that Ciampa is attacking Mustafa Ali is because Mustafa Ali wanted to take his ball, wanted to go home, now he's been stuck, he's doing the sort of squeaky clean babyface thing on Raw. Maybe it's to wake him up and have him align himself with Edge's group as well, and you've got that 4-man stable. Would that be something that would interest you? Because Edge storylines seem to be well carefully booked. They don't seem to go all over the place like usual typical WWE booking. Maybe if there is a reason Mustafa Ali has come back, wouldn't that be a good place to fit him in with this group?
Really like it, mate. This is logic. This is what I mean. This is kind of what we're talking about. This is what needs to happen in WWE, Steve. I really love that. You've really thought about that, and you've put great thought into that. And I'd love to see that. For me, this type of thing, I'd love to see it. You'd see that in AEW, that type of logic. Let's see them do that. We all know how good Ali is as a promo. I think Ali as a promo could be superb. They could go back to the hacker stuff. I'm not saying they have to do that, but you can mention the stuff he did before, maybe. It's a nice play. It's sinister. It kind of works as well, but definitely like to see it. I just don't know if I trust WWE to do that because that's just too good. It's smart, unfortunately.
They could even use the line, "This is your way of getting retribution." But
they could do that. They could. I don't think they'll mention retribution there. I think they want that to be deleted.
They'll want that forgotten as quick as possible, don't they? But But anyway, we'll go to the comments. Ed's given us a couple of good comments here. He says he likes this feud going on right now. He's hopefully having Rhea join Judgment Day. She fits in really well. I really think she will fit in with the group. It's just a matter of when, not if. Do you think that obviously Rhea could be a potential that could join this Sunday? Do you think it'd be interesting to see her get involved in the men's feud, or do you reckon it should be in a different format that she joins the group?
I'd like to see her get involved, but the problem is they don't want to do this violence versus women, which I totally agree with. I totally get that. So I can't see her doing that. I don't think she's the type of character to do a distraction, maybe. I don't think it's that much of a big shock, her turning up and sort of turning heel. She's a heel already. Let's do it on the night after, but I'd like to see it happen soon. I think if she's done this heel turn based on the initial promo and stuff and the way she was kind of distracted, all this lot, I hope they pay it off soon, because I think if this drags on for a few months, it would be really lost. I think she needs to join Edge's stable while it's hot and fresh.
Absolutely. Personally, I would, as soon as the feud with Liv Morgan is done, I'd look to try and get it in. That's the time and that's the place to really try and make it happen. But Ed, we completely agree that she should be joining, should be a great fit for that group. We just have to wait and see when it will be. We're going back then to the Omos and Lashley feud just quickly for the second then. And Ed goes on to say here as well that Omos is a good feud for Lashley, keeping him doing things to help younger and greener talent until they're ready to put him in the title spot. I can see the point and logic in that. Of course, Lashley is a good worker. I must admit, he really surprised me, particularly when I watched him live. Do you think that this is the sort of performer that Omos should be sharing the ring with, because of the fact that, almost like you said, he's not getting better necessarily, but if he's working with seasoned pros, so people like Lashley, people that can help carry a match, this hopefully can get Omos to a better level.
He's learning, that's for sure. He's learning from him, but I just don't like the fact when you haven't got these wrestlers that are that credible, you've only got a limited number of wrestlers in WWE that are that level, whether that be Drew, Roman, Bobby, up to a point. If you had an abundance of these wrestlers, if this was back in the Attitude Era, we would have Rock, Triple H, Austin, and go on and on. When you've got this limited amount, I think it's difficult. I think it's wasteful. Although it's great, I almost could get the same tutelage for somebody down the card. I think that's why I look at it.
No, completely understand that. Completely understand that entirely. While I put my teeth back in, let's get our next matchup. And that is going to be Happy Corbin, feeling maybe not so happy these days. He's going to be taking on Madcap Moss. This is a feud that I don't think we need to spend too long. And in fact, I've got a side question for this more. But obviously, the basis of this question, Madcap Moss won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Happy Corbin won it a few years ago when he debuted on the roster. He stole the trophy, and Madcap Moss managed to get it back, of course, in the most typical fashion possible, the obvious fashion possible, when it was brought down for a happy talk segment. Madcap was actually hidden under a mask and then revealed himself to get the trophy back. For me personally, keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet here. I think that WWE are looking to push Madcap Moss. He simply is a guy that's been on, well, this is 3 out of 4. Yeah, 4 out of 5 WWE Premium Live events in 2022. He's getting pay-per-view time. I think Madcap Moss is getting a push, and I think he's going to pick up the victory. Jonesy, I'll let you take it away for what you want to talk about with this.
Yeah, I think for me, like, this is a match I would not normally look forward to, but I've got to give it to them. Madcap Moss is a superb wrestler. This is a guy that's got another Chad Gable syndrome. He's another one that's far too good in a silly gimmick, which, if you take away the silly gimmick and the actual in-ring ability, he's got a great look. He's very, very good in the ring. He's improving. He's at that level now where I think, to be fair, if there wasn't so many other good wrestlers, he'd be at the Intercontinental title level, in my opinion. Now, I think he'd be at that sort of level. But for me, I'm with you. I think Madcap Moss to win. Baron Corbin is due absence, I believe, due to paternity leave, so he will be going away. Wish him luck with that. Good luck with that. But Madcap Moss to win this. I really hope he kicks on. I'd love to see him drop the silly gimmick and let's make him a serious wrestler, because this guy could be great, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do think there needs to be a little bit of tweaks to the character. That's that I would say, because obviously he's still rolling around laughing at times, which is just a bit awkward to watch.
$1 Million Man used to laugh, didn't he? But he was a serious wrestler. You knew that there's a bit of laughter, but then you'd still see what he could do in the ring, and he was credible.
Absolutely. Well, this is a question. This was the side topic I really wanted to talk about this, because Madcap Moss, like I said, WWE are pushing the guy, and he is a relatively new star, if you want, because he didn't have these big NXT breakout moments. He was on NXT, but he didn't really do anything special. He then was a part of Raw Underground, was treated as a slightly bigger deal on Raw Underground, but obviously that folded very, very quickly, so nothing happened with that. Then they found a spot with him here with Happy Corbin. They had him play the sidekick role for about 3 to 6 months. Now, I do agree with most people probably in the community to say that some of that was unwatchable TV, but they've got to the point where they felt he was ready for the breakout moment. Had him where he won the Andre the Giant trophy at the WrestleMania SmackDown show. Now they've given him the push going forward here. He's got the match against Happy Corbin. Of course, as well, he eliminated AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble. We were both a little bit critical of that at the time. Should we not be critical? Because WWE, we say we should build new stars. Is it because it's not the star people want? We're getting Madcap Moss here and we're pushing him forward. Surely we should get on board and we should be supporting this guy.
I agree. I think you're making excellent points there. I think the thing with that is, yes, it's maybe not the person we want, but for me, over the last month, following his recent work, his great work at WrestleMania and stuff, I ignore the silly gimmick. It's just the in-ring ability. This guy's got some great in-ring ability. You're never going to be able to have another Kurt Angle, people like that. Kurt Angle had a silly gimmick. You know what I mean? He taunted the crowd all this lot, but yet he was still able to get up to the main event level. But for me, it's just they push it too far down the neck, I think. These silly gimmicks, they're very, very childish. And how can you ever get somebody like a sort of Madcap Moss at the Bruce the Barber Beefcake level, that sort of level of comedy act, to this level, if you're not going to get rid of the silly gimmick? For me, given these big wins, I just think it needs to get a bit serious. You've already got Riddle on there doing this comedy type stuff. It's very similar to that, to be fair. If you drop that silly part of it, let's see him go somewhere, because I think he could be a really good powerhouse wrestler, a very good technical wrestler. I'd like to see him sort of down the line, potentially having a few, maybe if he's pushed right and you drop this whole Madcap thing, you just call him Moss or whatever you want to call him. They obviously change names all the time. He could be up at that level of sort of feuding with Seth Rollins in 6 or 7 months if he's built right.
Yeah, he's got the potential. He's a very good in-ring worker, and obviously he's had a program with Drew McIntyre over a couple of shows already. So they've obviously clearly got faith with the guy to actually be pushed well and be pushed forward. So fingers crossed, things will go well for Madcap. But we're both going for Madcap there for the victory here at WrestleMania Backlash. And as well, Ed has kind of to say that I think we could see, I think after this, we can move to Happy Corbin versus Ricochet. I think that would be a fun feud. We'd be happy to see him go for the Intercontinental title at some point further down the line. Wins and losses don't matter.
I would just be happy to see the Intercontinental title on a pay-per-view. I've got to be honest with you.
I would feel the same with that, actually. We're not seeing enough of the IC title on the line there. Madcap Moss win and Corbin written off is Jeff Samuel's viewpoint on that. Thank you for sharing us that way as well. And Ed says, don't forget, Brutus was a star in the late 80s and 90s and is a Hall of Fame, but let's not say, let's not say that's a bad thing for Madcap. So there you go. Silly gimmicks can get over, but of course, Brutus, that probably was his best of a line of awful gimmicks. Who remembers the Booty Man and the
Zodiac.
Disciple?
Do you remember Zodiac in WCW Dungeon of Doom? Wow,
God.
that'll cause you nightmares, won't it?
He's done some dreadful things for some paychecks, that guy. So he deserves to be in Hall of Fame for that alone. And Ed also is going to say that it brings into my mind the Bully Ray quote of how fans cry about anything, no matter what WWE tries to do, because it's not exactly what they want sometimes. And I think that's perfectly executed when we're talking about Madcap Moss here.
I agree.
Absolutely. And even to be fair, Omos, because we're not happy with the Omos, but I do think Omos is not ready. That's mainly the problem with that.
Steve, I know you said that, but I talk to a lot of people that watch wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I talk to quite a few people that watch wrestling. I've not heard from one of them that Omos is great. They want to see Omos. I've never. This is a common theme. This isn't us saying we don't like him. He's got a great look, a great potential, but unfortunately, he is the Giant Silver. He is Kurgan. He's at that level. He's not Andre the Giant, is he? Or the Big Show in his prime. Sadly.
No, he's nowhere near it. And like you said, the comparisons to Giant Gonzalez earlier on, at the moment, they are accurate.
It's a shame.
So
it's a real shame. I don't want anyone to struggle, but when you've got so many talented wrestlers around them, and you've got AEW to go against, he stands out like a sore thumb, unfortunately.
Sadly. Although maybe one day we can get a crossover show with, against Satnam. Although he looked really good the second appearance. His first appearance was awful, but his second appearance was actually quite impressive.
We'll move on. Sorry.
Go for it.
All I was going to say is I think, put it out there, I think they've done a far better job of building Veer Mahan than they have Omos. Veer Mahan is a really good giant. His facials are excellent. He looks intimidating. He looks like the next almost Rusev, doesn't he? He looks like he's going to go somewhere, which that's how you build somebody. You don't just build somebody by pinning somebody like after one move. I
really hope that Veer Mahan works because, like you said, they have been doing some strong booking with this guy so far. So let's hope that does continue and they don't give up in the next month or two. Jeff Samuel says that Lashley beats Omos unless MVP hits Lashley with the cane for Omos to win. There we go. We've got a method there to get that victory. And it would make sense if that's the way MVP was to get involved. I can see some shenanigans getting involved in there somewhere. So I don't think you're wrong with that here. And also we've got the match between the Bloodline and RK Bro and McIntyre. I think will be like that. Drew McIntyre will claim all Roman Reigns out of the ring. Then either the Usos or Riddle take the pin. So there we go. That's our prediction. And thank you very much for checking that stream. Hope you're doing well as well. So yeah, we're pretty much up to date at this particular moment. So what we'll do is we're going to go to our next match, which I hope people will not say in the stream, I quit. We're going to have the SmackDown Women's Championship match in an I Quit match. Charlotte Flair defending the strap against Ronda Rousey. Now, personally, say what you want about this feud. I don't think it's been to everyone's cup of tea, to everybody's taste, but I do think the I Quit stipulation is perfect for these two going into this show because obviously with an I Quit stipulation, usually it's submission-based style wrestling, but also it promotes a bit of the table spots we've had where we've seen Charlotte put Ronda through a table because usually you have a microphone to ask the other person to say the words, I quit. Now, WWE did two of these sort of matches just this past week on SmackDown in Beat the Clock challenges. Shotzi just tapped. Now, I'm hoping that they will use the microphone stipulation because it's more sports entertainment. It fits WWE. How do you think this match is going to play out? Do you think it's going to be with the, do you quit with the microphone? Or do you think it's going to be the simple person that has to say, just tap rather than screaming those words?
Tap, mate. I'm sorry. Like I agree with you. I'm a historian. I remember the Royal Rumble where we had the Rock and Mankind in the I Quit match where you had that I quit. I like that. I'm a massive fan of that. But I think it will just be the tap. I think this will be okay. The WrestleMania match wasn't particularly spectacular, so this is a rematch again. I'm not really that excited. I'm really struggling this time to get behind Ronda Rousey. It's just not working for me this time, unfortunately. The magic is kind of worn off. She's back at the Royal Rumble. She's just another wrestler for me at this point. I've enjoyed Charlotte's work. What's really interesting, Steve, and I'll ask you before I give you my prediction, do we see Drew Gulak get involved in the finish in some way? Do we see Charlotte restarting the match and getting Drew to do it potentially? Because he's obviously been a really pivotal part of this feud so far.
I'm really glad you brought his name up, actually, because he was someone I was going to bring up as well. Drew Gulak, for me, has been a star. If anyone's shining in this, it's Gulak. His facials, his timing, his comedic effect is absolutely brilliant. And I do going to say quickly, I think he's actually got a bit of this push due to WWE 2K22 because he's part of the tutorial and he's absolutely brilliant in his role at the start of the game. And I think WWE probably looked and went, this is a character we should be pushing just for the minute because he's heavily featured in this game at the beginning. So for me, he's got this role then as like the trying to get the announcement role and obviously doing the timekeeper stuff and just there with the hammer and stuff. Thought was absolutely genius. Will it be involved in the match? I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do a run-in, but I think it's going to epically fail immediately if he does. And if anyone's going to say I quit first, it's probably going to be him. Let's not hope it doesn't throw the match out completely. But Drew Gulak is golden for me, and I hope he gets some sort of form of push in WWE.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you make some excellent points. I just think he's been a really good addition. In terms of the match and the prediction, for me, I think this is Ronda's match. I think Ronda has to win the belt here, unless you want to go to another match next month. But Ronda to win this, she's doing well, and I think this is going to lead to a slow build for Ronda. We know Ronda and Becky's going to happen at Mania next year. Ronda's going heel for me. I think Becky will be going babyface. Let's start this now. Let's get Ronda to the point where people hate her, because people don't want to cheer Ronda. She's far better as a heel.
Do you know what? I will say to you that let's make it interesting, because that's what the match people wanted her to come back to. And I think that's why the spark is going, because we've had a feud from January to now of Ronda versus Charlotte. And I think it's a feud that people didn't want. They wanted Ronda versus Becky. If you got that feud, I think people would have been, at this point, probably ready to move on. And I think people would have been more accepting of a Ronda versus Charlotte program. The problem we've got here is, and this is something I said to you off camera before, I don't think this is ending here, even though I think Ronda Rousey is winning the SmackDown Women's Championship, because the babyface doesn't say I quit. It's very rare. They have to do a cheap way. You mentioned Rock and Mankind, the way they did it, obviously, with the tape recording back in 99. That's how they got it for Mankind to do it, so The Rock could win. Babyfaces don't scream the words I quit, and if they do, they've got to go heel literally the next week. So I suppose if you want that heel turn, that's one way you could go down. But Ronda's an MMA fighter. She's not doing that. So she's going to win the championship here, and we're going to get a rematch inside Hell in a Cell, because Ronda Rousey, MMA fighter, first time in Hell in a Cell. For me, it seems to be a way that WWE can promote that next premium live event of trying to make it seem like a big deal. And they usually like to have one women's Hell in a Cell match now every year. I think Ronda and Charlotte is the one. And the reason I think it's going to be that as well, and someone please tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, there's no one else right now to fill in the gap, to go for the feud, to go in for Hell in a Cell, because, well, your next four top players are all in the Women's Tag Team Championship match with Sasha, Naomi, Baszler, and Natalya. So, I mean, unless someone like Raquel Rodriguez pushes straight to the moon quickly, and she struggled to beat, a jobber on SmackDown last week, they're going to slow build that one as well. So I think Ronda and Charlotte is still the long term. Yeah,
I agree. I think you make some excellent points. I'm interested in what they do. For me, if I was booking it, you obviously want to keep Ronda Rousey as a babyface. That's what they want to do. The only way to do that is, I think you need to pair her. Like, you look at Randy Orton. Randy Orton was not lingering, but he was kind of struggling. They put him with Matt Riddle to get over and make him a bit more, the fans get behind him. You need to put Ronda Rousey with someone younger, I think, that the fans like, and give her that rub. Because at the moment, fans don't want to cheer her promo. Her promos are so wooden and stuff like that. But in ring, this will be okay. But no, Ronda to win. And yeah, I think, as I said, we may get it next month. And Steve, what about this to be controversial? Instead of a Hell in a Cell, how about an octagon match? That could really play into the UFC roots if they go down that route. Dragon's Den. Oh, sorry, Lion's Den. Sorry, not Dragon's Den. Lion's Den even.
Do you know what? I'd have a Dragon's Den as well if I could, but Lion's Den, I mean, of course, you go back to the classic SummerSlam matches. Ken Shamrock against Owen Hart back in the day was absolutely sublime. I would be fully invested and on board for that, because they've got the space now as well to do that in the arena as well if they wanted to. So that could kind of work really, really well. I'd love them to do it. I just, like you said earlier on, I don't have faith to WWE to do that. Hell in a Cell is the one there. If they've got a cage, I think that's the one they're probably going to go down. But is there anything you'd like to say before we go to the comments? Because we've got quite a few flooding in now.
Just one last one, if I may. If Charlotte does somehow retain, it's obviously going to be cheap. How do you think she retains if she does? Because this is the only way she's going to come away with the belt, I think, is by cheating, obviously.
Sounds terrible, but the only way you can do it is a carbon copy of actually doing the Mankind Rock thing. It's the only thing I could think of, because, it's like 23 years since they did it, and maybe a lot of the current newer generation of fans wouldn't be aware of it. I think a lot of the old school fans would be quite critical of it. But it's the only time I can see Ronda saying those words. I can't imagine it. I think it kills the credibility altogether.
Do we see them do the unthinkable and have, like, as you said earlier, Drew come out and Drew throw the white towel in almost, and they go down the Bob Backlund, Bret Hart route? Maybe that's because Ronda's not actually going to tap, is she? She's obviously clearly not going to tap.
That's creative, though. That's creative. I like that. Because then it keeps him involved with the storyline. It has progression. There's logic to it. Comment section. Do you like that idea? I quite like it.
Thank you.
Let's go to the comments, see what they've got to say in the meantime. Anyway, Ed Fry's here saying that I'm actually really looking forward to Charlotte versus Ronda. It's going to show off what these two do really well. Do you know what I do agree? I think the match quality is going to be fantastic. It's just the build that's let me down. Jonesy, do you think the match quality is still going to be really top notch?
I think it'll be really good. I think they could do some great stuff, and they've got. I think they'll be less under pressure than they were at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania, they were struggling to follow up that Becky Lynch Bianca match, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah, maybe so. But there's no other matches currently on there, but we'll have to wait and see what will happen. We've also got Ronda is lucky. She is fighting Charlotte, and we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But I think Charlotte's a formidable opponent. Still one of the biggest matches that they can do in WWE. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Charlotte's been built incredibly.
She's been champion for a long time now. I think since July, she's been a champion, whether it's Raw and SmackDown combined. Jack Haynes in the house. Jack, thank you for checking out the stream. Says Ronda wins by Drew Gulak help and Gulak be Ronda's manager, like smart Mark Sterling with Jade Cargill. Now, that could be fun because Ronda could do with a mouthpiece. Would Drew Gulak be it does seem a bit goofy, I suppose, for Ronda, but certainly they could make it interesting in a way, couldn't they?
Definitely, they could make it interesting. I'm interested to see what they do with that. I think it's a good shout. You never know. If Ronda doesn't win this, we may see her go on to form with Shayna Baszler, which is something I still think they may do later this year, potentially.
I think they should do at some point this year, definitely. Certainly before a heel turn, if they are going to do one for her. Yeah. It also says here, Becky versus Asuka or Becky versus Bianca could end up in the cell. A couple of other suggestions that could happen there.
Yeah, definitely. I think Becky versus Bianca, yes, please. That match was so good, and the Hell in a Cell will be even better. What about if you bring Bayley back as well, make it a triple threat potentially, or even a fatal four-way?
There's lots you can do, really is. Becky versus Asuka, obviously not been announced for this Sunday. Do you think it's too early in the program, or would you happily see it as a late announcement added to the show?
I like Becky Lynch, so I'd love to see it added to the show, but yeah, probably not. You could just do some sort of dueling promo backstage if you don't want to put them out there. I get the feeling that Becky's still recovering. Like I don't know if she's fully fit or not. Obviously, she's been doing some in-ring stuff, but they don't seem to be pushing her very much after WrestleMania, do they? She hasn't been on TV very much.
No, she had a couple of weeks break and she's come back and she's had the promo and she had the 6-woman tag this week. And I mean, obviously for looking at it, I mean, I love the promo work she's done. She's really got me invested in this feud with Asuka so far. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes, but I think it needs a couple more weeks build. But Hell in a Cell could end up in the cell. I have to wait and see. Time will tell on that one. It'll be very interesting to see how it will go down. Randy Salmon House as well. Randy for checking out the stream says, "What's up, guys? Does Cedric Alexander go crazy and interfere in the Omos and Lashley match? If he does, I see him running in the ring and being thrown straight over the top rope back to the floor. Personally, I'm not personally sure of it. What are your thoughts, Jonesy?"
Yeah, Cedric can't get on pay-per-views, which is tragic. He's a great wrestler, so I'd be a fan of it, Randy. But nah, Cedric's not getting involved. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll get the time.
No, if he does, he's getting attacked backstage before the match even happens.
You've got to give him his due, though, Steve. He's the most loyal, stable member earlier. He's been the Hurt Business in and out more than sort of my team are conceding goals week on week at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think you're getting 6th spot, and that's always something anyway. I would have taken 6th spot all day long. But Jack Haynes saying he's got Lashley and Madcap Moss and the Bloodline. So some of the matches we've gone over so far there. So thank you for sharing some of your predictions there for us. We really do appreciate it. Chris Williams in the house as well. This is Alexa Bliss return and throw Black Mist and Ronda and Charlotte's face cause a finish. That'd be interesting because, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, she was going to make a return to Raw. She's been off TV for a long time. WWE have done crazy things and just switch people over the shows. Do you reckon Bliss could return to SmackDown?
Why not? The thing is, like, it doesn't really matter where she comes back because she's coming back. You either bring her or Bayley back. This is the point where you need to bring somebody back if you don't want to do this match next month. So I agree with it. I like it. I like the mist being thrown. I'd like to see that happening, but it's a really old trick, isn't it? That's an 80s sort of wrestling move, isn't it? Mist in the face. It almost reminds me of kind of the Great Muta, or something that Mr. Fuji would do, wouldn't it? To a certain point.
I think both would do it back in the day. Of course, Tajiri back in the noughties as well. So, there's been a few that have done it there. Jack Haynes saying, do you think more matches are going to be announced before we go on to our last match that we're going to be talking about? To be honest, I do think 1 or 2 will be added on last minute. We'll have to wait and see what they're going to be. I think Rhea versus Liv Morgan is probably a safe one, and I'm going to say it'll be for the kickoff. I'd like it on the main show, but I think for timing issues, I think they'd get more time on the kickoff. So that's why I think it'll be put there. Josie, is there another match you think that could be perhaps added late to this show?
I don't know whether you're going to put the tag team titles maybe up, maybe potentially. They've done a lot of work with the 6-women tag team recently, so maybe you put the women's tag team titles up. But for me, no, probably. You never know. You may get a 24/7 title based on the fact that it's on TV every single week at the moment. But no, I don't know. It just depends. It sounds like to me this is one they want to do very quickly in and out the show. To be fair, I don't think they want to drag it on really.
No, we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. But Jack does suggest Ciampa versus Mustafa Ali. That certainly could be one that could go down as well. We mentioned the idea that would give an excuse where if Ciampa's going to get involved later in the night, he's already at the show, he's already fought once. You think we've gone through the curtain, we've forgotten about him. That could work.
I love that. Yeah, I like it. Makes sense.
Good work indeed there. Quick question before we go on to Cody versus Seth. We've got Shahid as well in here. Thank you for checking out the stream. Says, who will be the next challenger for the WWE Unification title and Women's Championship and Women's Tag Team Championship? Well, I can tell you right now that Baszler and Natalya have got the title shot. So we know they're the next ones in line there. For the Women's Championships, as I said there a second ago, I think Charlotte and Ronda continues on for the time being. What will be the place when it gets to Money in the Bank SummerSlam time? We'll have to wait and see. As Jonesy said, perhaps a return would make a lot of sense for that position. Perhaps a Bayley could make a lot of sense at that point. As for Roman, it's Drew all day long. And of course, RK Bro and Usos I still think will eventually happen. Jonesy, do you have anything to add or where you think could be changes in amongst that lineup?
No, I think that really kind of makes sense to me. Everything you've done sort of makes sense for the comment. I can't really add anything further. I agree with it.
There we go. Well, I'll tell you what, then we're up to date with the chat. So let's go with our last match. And the reason I've put this last is because it's the main match that is actually advertised when you go to their shows part on their WWE.com page. It is Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, in a rematch against Seth Freakin Rollins. Now, I actually think there's a chance this match could open the show, but certainly it's the last match we're going to be talking about. But how have you felt with Cody versus Seth? Was that a fantastic match at WrestleMania? How have you found the build since then?
I really enjoyed it. I think Cody Rhodes is so great to see him in WWE. Like he's just that level above, and I really enjoyed Seth's work. I've kind of enjoyed it. This for me has got me excited. This makes this pay-per-view seem a worthwhile pay-per-view. It's going to be a huge match. I like the elements of Dusty being brought into it in recent weeks. I think that's a nice touch. I think Seth's got the charisma to pull it off, and really looking forward to seeing this. I just wish this was an Iron Man match for me. I think another stipulation would have been kind of nice to see to make it a bit different, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think it could be good. If this is the main event, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy as well. I think these two are definitely worthy of that spot. Like I said, I think it could be an opener or it could be that middle place. So they like to sometimes have a big match in the middle, don't they, of the show? So one thing's for sure, these two, I think, will knock it out the park again. You mentioned the bring up of Dusty Rhodes. I thought that was a really clever thing to do. I actually also like the Pick Your Poison match where Seth gave Cody the surprise match. I thought that was something that needed to be done here. The only thing I'd have liked further to add to this, I'd have liked the idea of Seth losing his mind of Cody Rhodes and like saying, well, you shocked the world at WrestleMania. I'm going to shock you at every turn. You're not going to know where I'm going to show up. And I can just pop out and jump at him like backstage or like he did with Edge, turn up at his home and stuff like that. Really just turn up and surprise Cody at every place because Seth could have been Cody's nightmare. That's what I'd have liked to see added to the feud. But I do think we're going to get this again at the next show. I don't think that this is done here. So that's why I hope this storyline goes next. Is that something you would like to see going forward?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see it. I think the thing is you've obviously got to keep Cody back for Roman down the line. So you can't obviously what is Cody gonna do if he doesn't have Seth again? The only person I can see that's realistic there available is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens obviously coming off a fantastic WrestleMania main event. He's not been built up since then. He's stuck in this feud with Ezekiel. So unless they're going to do that, I wouldn't mind seeing this match again though. If it was Hell in a Cell, it would be fun to see. If this is a match again next month, would you want to see it with Cody winning? Because that is my prediction here. Cody has to win this. This is his second sort of pay-per-view match back. He's not. I think Seth could afford a loss. Cody losing here though could be catastrophic for me. I think you need to keep this guy unbeaten until he faces Roman.
So this is a question I was actually going to ask you. So you've actually took the words out of my mouth, so I don't really need to ask it. But like, because WWE like to do the 50-50 booking. They like to, if they want to take this to a third show, they like to have the idea of the rubber match. And obviously we're at 1-0 with Cody winning. Cody surely should prove he can do this without surprising Seth. Like they know the match is happening. And you said it could be catastrophic there. So Seth winning here, saying he was to cheat or something like that to take it over to the third month, do you think that that still is catastrophic?
It depends on are you saying sort of a quick roll up as a finish? It depends on what the finish is. Like
feet on the ropes, holding the tights.
But streaks that are unbeaten. That are, like if you look at the level of, I think I'd definitely like to see that. And I think he has great potential to do stuff. Sorry, Steve, I think I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Not entirely.
No, okay, if I'm not back
you are back now.
Yeah, so okay, I don't know how much you heard. So yeah, what I was saying with that, I think if they're going to go for a cheating finish, fine, but for me, I just want Cody to win outright. Cody needs to be kept protected. He needs to be on this win streak. And when it gets to SummerSlam, when it is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes potentially, I want him to be on a win streak. I want him to be unbeaten. But if they have to do a match next month to keep it interesting, why not do a double DQ? And then that way, no one loses anything. I know it's a lazy way to end a match. I just don't want Cody to be pinned here. I'd be pretty annoyed, really, if he gets pinned.
Do you know what? I kind of agree with you. I want Cody to remain undefeated as well. I want Cody to remain strong the whole way through. But I am going to predict Seth Rollins. I think there's going to be a cheap finish here, and Seth is going to sneak away with a win. So we can see him cocky on Raw. The fact, see, I told you so, like the surprise at Mania. And then they have the blow off in Hell in a Cell. They have the cage match. And then I think Cody wins decisively. And I think that's what takes Cody on. And it's a WWE way, but I agree with you. I think Cody should remain undefeated going into his championship match. But as I said, early on with Cody's return, I want this to be a marathon and not a sprint. I want to the point where Cody doesn't get the championship overnight. I want him to, personally for me, if you want to know the perfect place, I'd like him to win the championship. I want it to be at WrestleMania next year.
Sounds good. It's nice we've got another choice, though, isn't it? It's nice we've got somebody else at that level now, starting at that level instead of having to be built up a whole year to get to that point. But yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think this will be a fantastic match. Potentially could be match of the night as well.
I really agree with you. And I do feel in my head, like looking at things, I do feel that WWE have done a good job because he's come in and he has carried that momentum, Cody. He has been a top guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's not coming like carrying cross, has he? Come up on the main roster, losing to Jeff Hardy within 30 seconds. This guy's come in. He's got the AEW entrance. He's been built like a star, looks like a star, and he's just that level above. This is how you bring somebody in. And when he did debut, I didn't really trust WWE to do it, but they built him up so well. And I think Seth's a great hand to go against him because Seth's so good as well.
He really, really is. Absolutely. Hands down. So we'll go to the chat and see what everyone's got to say in here. Chris Williams now comes in the chat and says, do we think that Seth can win? And we'll get inside Hell in a Cell. Obviously, I've answered that. Jonesy, do you think it can happen or will happen?
Yeah, it can. If they want to fill a feud to carry on, then yes, it can. Of course it can.
Absolutely. And Chris has another suggestion as well here. SummerSlam could be Cody versus Seth in a bull rope match. The last time they've done that with when's the last time they did that with Cody? The last one I remember in WWE was actually Dusty Rhodes against Randy Orton in 2007. I don't know if they've done one in between. Do you think a bull rope match could be fun?
It's different, isn't it? It makes another match. It's a long way to go to SummerSlam, though. It's a long way to keep that feud going. Unless you start it again. Unless you have a break and then maybe put a tag team wrestler with them and then delay it slightly. But yeah, I'd like to see it. Something different, isn't it? Not just match after match again.
It's creative. I'll give that, Chris. I really like the idea of creativity there. Jack's saying here that that also we get Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel at Backlash. You mentioned about that feud. It's very fun, and then that you mentioned here as well, Jack. I see them making a story of Hell in a Cell SummerSlam. Well, I mean, Ezekiel and Owens has actually been quite a lot of fun, hasn't it?
I think it's okay. Let's put it like that. So I can see the next comment. If you want to go to the next comment, and I'll just explain what my thoughts are. So please read that comment, and I'll just explain why I think.
From Ed Fries here, we're saying stuck with Ezekiel. The Ezekiel KO stuff is incredible.
Okay, it's fun, but let's look at the bigger picture. Kevin Owens was the main event at WrestleMania. He's now in this nothing feud. The feud's going nowhere. It's not leading to a world title, is it? When you've got somebody in the main event at WrestleMania, it's almost like seeing Hulk Hogan win the world title and then be down in the middle of the card. It's a massive fall, isn't it? Although it's fun, Kevin Owens is far better than this feud. That's what kind of annoys me about it, really.
I can understand that point of view. I think that in a way, like I think with a lot of the big time opportunities that WWE had at WrestleMania, I think a lot of especially with the celebrity stuff, it's gone a bit flat since. I mean, Austin Theory is going to win the United States Championship, which does counteract that argument. But if you look at the idea that, I mean, Pat McAfee's just back at the table now, where obviously he was one of the most over people. Logan Paul's disappeared, and the Miz is kind of stuck in the middle of a feud rather than doing something. And you said that KO probably should be going for a world title. He
was in there with Steve Austin. I know he got destroyed, but how many people have been in the match with Steve Austin in recent years? This is the main event at WrestleMania. It's your biggest show of the year, potentially. And it's a shame, really. I'm enjoying part of the feud, but I know Kevin Owens is worth much more. Like previous years, he's been feuding with Roman Reigns for the world title. This guy should be up there with main event level for me continually, not just in and out, shake it all about almost.
I can understand it. But one question I'm going to throw to you is play the counteractive side there. Without KO, does this Ezekiel stuff work? I think it's been a really fun watch with these two interacting. I'm not sure of another superstar in place, maybe Chad Gable, but someone else, I don't know if it would have got over the same.
Fair point. I think you make a good point. I think KO is that good that he can make it work. It gives Ezekiel life, doesn't it? It gives him something to do, but I don't know if I've got the longevity with this Ezekiel thing. I can't see Ezekiel going up to the Intercontinental title or the world title based on this, unfortunately.
Not at this particular moment. We'll have to wait and see it will go.
If he wins the world title later this year, I'll hold my hands up on this stream. Now,
I can't wait for when they try and do the picture-in-picture of them two together with Elias. That's going to be amazing.
It
The
will
day
be
that
fun.
happens.
It's fun. It's more fun than, at least it's got some creativity to it. Let's not totally destroy it. It has got some great creative elements to it. It's just not really for me, to be fair. I know. As I said, I know what Kevin Owens can do.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, we all have our opinions, and
Yeah.
we all can respect those opinions. I think it's a great fun watch, but I do agree that perhaps KO should be at a higher position in the card. I've got no arguments with that. We've also got Kenneth Paul says plot twist. Seth and Cody in the ring, but Seth says, Cody, I'm not fighting because I'm hurt. You'll face this guy, and Roderick Strong comes in to beat Cody with Seth's help. It's a fun suggestion, but I don't see it happening.
I don't. Roderick Strong wants out of WWE, doesn't he? He hates it there, so they're not exactly going to push him. He's not made up the main event yet. He's going to be the talking point for Diamond Mine, from what I believe as well. I like to see Roderick Strong on the main roster, but for me, I don't see him doing this. Unfortunately, it's a nice prediction though.
Nice prediction. I'd like to see him on the main roster, but just in a different company, aligned with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. But that's just me. And then Kenneth also says that Ezekiel and returning Elias versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens get the feeling. There you go. Wouldn't that be a Raw Tag Team title match in the future?
Steve, you have to humour me. So I've got this image here now. We got Elias and Ezekiel in this match, and then obviously in the other corner, there's nobody there. So he tags himself, and then he obviously flicks his hair. I'm Elias now, or whatever. You could just imagine the comedy for it. It'd be almost as funny as the Al Snow and Head match versus Too Cool back in the day, where Head was on a Head and Shoulders bottle. It's almost that level of nostalgia and comedy. Like, I love it. I think that's a great comment, and yeah, they could pull it off. It could be fun to watch.
It could be fun. The trick of the camera, what they could have done in the pandemic in the Thunderdome era, I don't think it could be a bit harder to do now, wouldn't it? But certainly it would be fun indeed there. Jack also saying here that, is it just me, or do you think that Danhausen could be in a tag team with Hook? Well, it's a different company here, but certainly there could be something that could go down a certain avenue. A quick discussion there. Do you reckon yes or no that could work?
I plan on it, but I think Hook's too cool for Danhausen. Although Danhausen has got some great overness, Hook's far too cool for Danhausen, isn't he? Let's be fair. Yeah, it might be a short-lived tag team. I wouldn't want to see it, to be fair. AEW's tag team division is stat. So stat. You don't need another tag team.
Yeah, they don't need it long term. Definitely don't need it long term. But certainly could be fun in the short term, and the crowd is eating that up. The crowd loves it. It says Cody keeps winning, and Rollins keeps getting more and more mad. Would be great. So the thing is, Seth is losing his mind, and that is one of the beauty parts of this storyline. So I do hope that Cody wins, but a part of me just can't go against Seth here. And especially the thing is the telltale part as well, Jones. You know, I say it every time we do this, so you must be bored of hearing it. But if you look at the show before the pay-per-view, the one on top is usually the one that loses on the show 9 times out of 10. Doesn't always work, and that was one of the beauties with the Undertaker streak, because it didn't happen there. So you all thought it was obvious the Taker was winning, and then he lost and got the big wow moment. But here, I mean, Cody had the upsmanship here on this show, threw Seth's jacket in the crowd as well, and the battle of the suits there. Personally, I thought the Cody suit would always come out on top, to be fair. But looking at it, Cody was on top, so I think that's why he's going to lose this pay-per-view.
It's a big prediction, Steve. Very, very big prediction.
It is indeed.
Let's see what happens, mate. We'll see who's right. Fingers crossed.
We'll have to wait and see there. Sheed also says, which title do you prefer, the WWE title or the Undisputed? WWE title for me, because literally it's got the longer history. Jonesy?
Yeah, I like the W title. I'm with you. I'm a historian.
Absolutely. I feel that history always keeps it going here. We'll keep with the chat then just for a few minutes before we close off the show. Cody has had one with Jay Lethal in Ring of Honor. So there you go. It's a correction of something that we've definitely said earlier. Perhaps would that be an Iron Man match? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it would have been. Ed, clarify what that would have been for us, because we've probably been chatting for far too long to remember where that was coming from. Jack also says that I get what Jonesy is coming from with Owens is awesome, but he should be after a title picture. I quite like something different to what people said to Charlotte. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it will go down. Also, we've been given another historical reference. Remember Kane versus Kane, Undertaker versus Undertaker. Yes. Do you remember those back in the day? Especially
great history, Jack.
Absolutely, particularly SummerSlam '94 there, particularly as well there. Randy saying Cody Rhodes wins, but then Seth is going to snap and do something to win, like someone helping him. Maybe recruit Ciampa. We've mentioned the idea of him going somewhere else, but we'd be interested if it was with Seth, him versus Ali and Cody Rhodes. But that's a different way to use them, something different to what we suggested. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like it. I think it would be something good to see. Either if we get Ali or Ciampa in the Edge group, either one of them two are fantastic additions. I think they give that group a lift as well. But yeah, looking forward to seeing it. Hope they play it out. And I'm just happy to see Ciampa on the main roster. It's something I never thought we'd see, to be fair.
Yeah, I never would see it either, so it's really good that we are seeing here. And Kenneth Balls is saying that we see a third member helping Edge. Who do you want to
called
see
it.
join it? We
You
did
called it,
call
Steve.
Ciampa
You
earlier
called
on
it.
in the stream was one that we did say there. But I mean, is there anyone else that you think that would be a nice fit?
No, I think at the moment the ones he was pitching, he was pitched Ali. He's also been pitched. I'm just trying to think as well. Somebody else was pitched as well, which I can't think. My memory's gone. But no, I think Ali's the main one. And I did hear there's another one as well. Mansoor. I heard that Mansoor is one that they pitched for him as well. But Edge said he didn't want him, so if that happens, I'll be disappointed. But no, Ciampa's the one to do it, and this is the way he has to win the match. I think if Edge wins it cleanly, yeah, it's fine. Edge getting a win's great, but let's build up the drama. Let's do it. Edge is a heel all round now, so let's get him win. Either by bloodbath or something unnormal.
Absolutely. Well, just the last couple of comments then we're going to go through as we round up to the top of the hour there. When Roman Reigns loses the unification, which title will go to Raw? I assume the WWE title would go back to Raw.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I think whoever wins it should say that we want 2 belts, and maybe one will vacate, and maybe get a tournament then to get a new champion. Maybe that's potentially the route that may go down.
Absolutely. We've also got Kenneth saying, don't be surprised if Finn was the one to turn heel. We did suggest that idea earlier in the stream as well, but certainly would be fun, wouldn't it?
The only trouble with that, as much as I'm a fan of that, is if you do turn Finn heel, who's then left to help AJ? AJ's literally on his own against 3 or 4 people, unless you're going to put Ali with him, maybe. But it'll be fun. The split personality things, though, the way I do that, like I said earlier.
That could be a fun way to go down as well. And Randy Sam says that Dijak should join it.
Yeah,
We like that. Love
Very
that as
good.
well. That's
Very
a great
shout.
idea indeed there. So, right, just to close things off, Jonesy, I'm just going to mention the matches very quickly. And we just, without any explanation, just say the predictions one more time for anyone that may have missed anything of the stream. So we've got the Bloodline against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Your final prediction?
I'm going for the baby faces to win. I'm going Randy Orton to pin Jimmy Uso.
Fantastic. I will also go with the same, although I will not specify which pinfall will be made, but I do think the babyfaces will pick up the W. We had Bobby Lashley versus Omos.
I'm going Bobby Lashley to win.
I'm going to go for Omos. We also went with AJ Styles versus Edge.
I'm going Edge to win.
I will be going Edge to win, and I do think it will be via a new member joining. The fourth match that we discussed on this stream was Madcap Moss against Happy Corbin.
Madcap Moss.
Madcap Moss all the way. Match 5 was Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. I quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey all day. The babyfaces don't give up. And last but not least, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins.
I'm going Cody Rhodes.
I'm going to go for Seth Rollins.
I like this, mate. We're disagreeing for once. This is nice to see. Usually we agree every month.
It is interesting to see indeed. And that's pretty much us near enough wrapped up, ladies and gentlemen. Before I do leave you, I will ask if you can to please like the video, share as well with a friend, and subscribe. Help SCW grow on YouTube. It really would be a pleasure as well if you would check out other videos on the channel as well. Many videos popping up recently from multiple different promotions. So if it's WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, this is definitely a place to be. And also go and support Jonesy Chats Wrestling as well. I know you did a WrestleMania review. Will you be doing one for Backlash as well?
Maybe. I'm turning my hand more to Twitch now. I'm quite a big football fan, play Football Manager. Come check me out on Twitch if you can. I'm looking for all the followers I could get. That is if you like Football Manager.
Absolutely. Well, yes, football, soccer for those in the States, of course, as well. But definitely, it's a fun time. Definitely going to check Jonesy out on that. Randy says that SCW is Jeopardy and Jonesy is the one answering the questions. Definitely. I'll do my best Alex Trebek each and every time I do come on these. But Randy does also say, good show, guys. It's great to have as well. Kenneth as well also saying, good show, guys. Thank you very much for everyone that's been supporting. We really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun doing this as always. And of course, we do hope you enjoy WrestleMania Backlash. If anyone is watching this on delay, then please get involved in the comment section and also let us know your predictions as well. If you haven't already, like I say, please do hit the thumbs up. It really does help the algorithms on YouTube. It's boring, I know, for you guys, but honestly, it does help this channel a long way. It does help support us to keep creating more content going forward. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you very much. And also tomorrow, we're back for another live stream. King of the Ring 1994 SCW Rewind returns. I'll be with Non-Stop Wrestling Chat on that as well. And also be doing as well Impact Wrestling Under Siege predictions will be dropping on the channel tomorrow as well. But that's all from us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Take care. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube. Take care.